yesterday, but otherwise overlooked in the Brexit debate, when Labour conference yesterday voted for a huge overhaul of border controls and an end to many of the curbs on immigration. The vote on the floor of the conference basically was scrapped all controls on immigration, no caps on immigration outside the EU, not that they've ever been hit anyway, and certainly within the EU, allowing a continuation of all free movement, and indeed even allowing foreign nationals from the EU to vote in British general elections and referendums. So let's talk about this with Lord Green of Deddington, who's president and founder of Migration Watch. Good morning to you, Lord Green.
Good morning to you.
I'm saying normally this would be something that was front page news, or only thing that we were discussing all morning in the media as a result of this vote, however lost in the mix over Brexit. But this is a very, very significant vote on the floor of the conference at Labour, isn't it?
Absolutely, Julia, and I'm very glad that you've focused on this. It would have huge long-term effects on our country, and we really mustn't let it get lost in the noise about Brexit. It's a package of astonishing proposals, now approved, as you mentioned, by the Labour government, the Labour conference, I mean. First of all, on immigration, it would mean open borders to the whole world. On voting, it would extend to millions who are only here as residents rather than as citizens. And it amounts really to a kind of left-wing attempt to grab power in the face of public opinion. Well, it's outrageous.
As I say, no caps on arrival numbers or any rules stipulating income or skills, and a scrapping of all immigration detention centres, yes. and migrants being given the unconditional right to family reunion, so being able to bring any relatives to the UK. There's no doubt at all that Labour delegates may have that view, and that's the floor, the vote on the floor of the House of Conference there in Brighton. However, the polling has been quite clear that across the board in this country, actually, the majority of voters are very much opposed to open borders. Not anti-migrant. We've seen very positive views towards migrants, but opposed to mass immigration and to uncontrolled immigration. And that even extends, does it not, to Labour Party voters?
Yes. These proposals are absolutely contrary to the wishes of the majority. And in saying that, I speak for 30 million UK adults. That's 60% of the adult population, who want to see less migration, not more. Those who want to see more, less than 10%. So public opinion is very clear about this, as you say, and it must be opposed, it must be prevented.
And again, we know that the views towards immigration have actually become more positive since 2016, possibly because people feel, well, that issue's been dealt with. And undoubtedly, although issues about democratic accountability and sovereignty and were the highest up in all the polls, again and again, deep questioning, insider questioning of people who voted for Leave, that was their number one issue. But number three, I think, on everyone's list was the issue of immigration and the right to control the borders of your country and decide who can and cannot come and live and work in this country. As we've seen perhaps a more relaxed attitude, a more welcoming attitude to the issue of migration as those migration numbers have come down, do you think that issue would reignite as political debate in this country if Labour did come in and did institute these policies?
Well, first of all, of course, there's a difference in salience and ordinary sort of polling results. The reason why there appears to be less concern about immigration is, as you say, that many people think that it's going to be sorted anyway, and also the problems in Europe are less than they were in 2016. But the basic polling, which I've just outlined to you, is absolutely clear. There's very strong wish to see less migration. I think I can't imagine these proposals actually be going through, but if they were to go through, then it would raise all these issues again and do enormous harm. And the people who suffer most from all this are the people who are least well off in our society. They would be the ones who would face a new wave of migrants willing to work for low wages and live in harsh conditions.
Well, that's just one final point, actually. We were talking a little bit earlier on my show some hours ago about whether or not there had actually been an impact on wages and from a lower rate of immigration to this country. Fewer people coming from the EU, undoubtedly, as a result of that 2016 vote, even with no change in the law. Have you seen any evidence? Is there actually any evidence that actually the increasing wages that we are seeing in many lines of work at the moment is down to the fact that we have fewer migrants coming and competing in the labour market?
It's a possibility. The problem is that the scale of migration, although it's huge from the point of view of our future, it's still running 250,000 a year. That is a very small number compared to the 33 million workers in the UK. So you can't, and no one has succeeded in getting a direct link between immigration and various economic aspects. What we do know is that over the last 10 years, when there has been a very large flow of migrants into this country, that productivity has been flat. And it's perfectly possible to argue that the reason for that is that employers are taking cheap labour rather than investing in machinery that would actually raise productivity. It's hard to prove these things in statistical terms, but it's certainly perfectly possible. There's, put another way, there's absolutely no evidence that immigration adds to GDP per head. Of course it adds to our overall production, but per head it makes little or no difference in the UK.
Lord Green of Deddington, President and Founder of Migration Watch, thank you very much. 9:32 is the time. Still to